Good morning, everyone. This is Kati Novotny calling in from Premier Marketing. Want to thank you guys for joining us today. I know it's a busy time of year, and it's just about to get busier. With open enrollment and next week's kickoff to Long-Term Care Awareness Month, we wanted to take the opportunity to just kind of bend your ear on some sales techniques and ideas we are having in LTC. One big thing we commonly hear is year-end ideas, and I know a lot of you are working with your clients, not only on the insurance side, but on the financial basis. So we thought no better time to discuss some ideas of utilizing LTC as a retirement tool. So with that, we are thrilled to have John Gibbons here from Mutual of Omaha to walk us through some ideas. And please feel free, as always, to type in questions and we'll handle them at the end. With that, you ready to take it away, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Glad to be here. I'm John Gibbons. I've been with Mutual of Omaha almost 3 years. Prior to that, spent 4 years at One America and forever, like 17 years at Genworth. So if any of you are new, please reach out to Katie and the team. Very seasoned veterans, great organization across all product lines. So I want to talk about the risk and positioning. Over the years, my biggest frustration is most agents, advisors are not proactive about this with long-term care. And I'm going to talk about the need in a second. Others, what they do is they go to Katie and the team and they get an illustration. And then all they do is walk the client through the illustration and they wonder why the client goes, that's too expensive, I'm not going to do this. And they sell 1 in 20. You have to position this like you would do with every other product on why it's important, what the risk is, and then also build up the product and that type of thing. All right. So I'm going to give you ammo to do that hopefully today. So let's talk about the risk. So at different stages of your life, you have different risks that you transfer to insurance. All right. So throughout our life, right, we have auto insurance and homeowners insurance. I may have umbrella policy, which I do on my home, right? For my family, I have health insurance. Salary, I have that covered by DI. Now I've got life insurance for income if something were to happen to me, right? Well, what about the last stage of my life? My nest egg. Have I transferred the risk to protect that retirement portfolio so that if I have an extended care event, I don't wipe everything out so that my wife has something that doesn't have anything to live on, right? So risk management, good way to position it for your clients. Now let's talk about the gap. Here's the thing, study on the left-hand side here. Retirees are in yellow, pre-retirees are in blue. So that being said, greatest financial worries in retirement. Intuitively, I bet you're guessing it would be down here, outlive my savings. That's what I thought it would be. No. Health insurance costs, including long-term care. 52% of retirees, that's my biggest concern. 66 pre-retirees. I'm worried about that. All right, now let's see where the gap is. And this study over here shows blue, I understand the need. Orange, I have covered that need, and green, I have knowledge. So for long-term care, right here, 66%. I'm sorry, was it 56%, I think, right? 55%. I understand the need. But yet, right here, only 15% have covered it. And I just partly because most advisors, agents aren't proactive with this, or I'm proactive correctly where they explain it and show them the need and how it can be affordable. So big gap here, great opportunity to protect your clients and prospects. So some people say, hey, I'm going to self-insure. There's no self-insuring. You're not insuring anything. You're self-funding if you haven't transferred the risk. So what you're doing, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, is you're gambling. You're rolling the dice. And it's an all-in bet that it'll never happen to you because you're exposing your whole portfolio that you could have an event. All right. So if it's a 300,000 event, and God, you hope that's all it is, that's 300 of your money. If it's $1 million, it's $1 million of your money. If it's 2 million, it's gone. You cannot unring that bell. My My mother had MS for 40 years and was in a wheelchair the last 20. So my father, she couldn't get long-term care insurance. My father was a caregiver, retirement, and myself and my 4 sisters would try to help. Long story short, eventually ends up, he passes away, we run out of money. She ends up on Medicaid in a nursing home. You know, she passed away about 4 years ago. I did back of the envelope math. At that time, if she had a policy, or if we had $2.5 million, it'd be gone. Easily would have been a $2.5 million claim, today's dollar. And I hear that all the time with 2 points. The biggest I've heard is 4 million and 5 million. All right, so if you transfer the risk, it protects the ones you love, your spouse, adult, children. It's not so much always about the one that needs care, the impact to the spouse and the adult children, you know. And if I spend down the assets, will there be enough left for my healthy spouse? All right, here's a good one, and I'll touch on this on another slide in a little bit. Good term to use is liquidate. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, especially if you're getting pushback and you don't think they're buying into this, need. All right, so Mr. and Mrs. Jones, let's say a year from now or 5 years from now, you need care, one of you. What assets would you liquidate first? Not how would you pay for it. Use the term liquidate. That's going to frustrate Mr. Jones because he's going to go, wait a minute, we both have been working for the last 40 years building up this nest egg to enjoy in retirement. Mrs. Jones is going, wait a minute, if we liquidate for me, what is she going to live off of? So this, they know they have money, but they don't realize if you need care, that money is actually going to start going out. So this sentence here helps bring that to reality. And if you have, you know, your money in real estate, what's the timing of that? And then the tax liability of liquidating assets, and I'll talk about that on a different slide. All right, so you want to have a conversation with the clients on this. You know, in the beginning, you want to do, and I have a next slide we'll talk about a little bit, your field underwriting is the first thing I would do. Make sure they're healthy. All right, they don't have to be squeaky clean. We have an underwriting box, or Katie and the team can help you, you know, pre-qualify somebody, but you want to ask and do the pre-underwriting first, and then you want to start asking questions. All right, and you want to have a conversation first about this, and you want to use stories. Long-term care, this is a big deal, is an emotional sale, not a logical sale. All right, emotional, not logical. So with that, and I encourage you to write this down. The first question I would probably ask is, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, have you ever been caregivers? You have any experience being a caregiver? Now, if they have, you're probably golden. The follow-up question would be then, what was the impact to you physically and emotionally? So please write that down. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what was the impact to you physically and emotionally? Next, if they have not had an experience, this is important, not an experience. You want to impart on them why this is important to you, why you have a passion for this. Now, for me, it's easy, right? With my mother and the MS. If you don't have a story, get one. And the more you emphasize the importance of this, the more likely they'll come along with it and get the protection they need. All right, so you can ask them, you know, do you have a plan? Where would you like to get care if you needed it? Who would you like to provide that care? You know, how would you pay for it? You want to have a dialogue on all this in a conversation. You want to do your needs analysis if it's a prospect, right? So there's a difference in how I would design a plan for a blue collar person versus upper middle class. A lot of times I'll do wealthy clients, the same design is upper middle class, because wealthier clients I found have a tipping point. They'll pay so much for this. After that, they're just going to go, if it's too expensive, I'm going to self-insure. All right, so sometimes I keep it reasonable for the wealthy people. But for my blue collar, I've got to knock that coverage down. I got to make it affordable. Something is better than nothing. I'd have killed for 2 years of coverage for my mother. it would have kept her out of a nursing home for 2 less years or 3 years of coverage. All right. Something is better than nothing. You have to know your audience, make it affordable, your needs analysis, underwriting. All right. We approve basically 70% of applications. And of that 70%, of the 30% that aren't, 10% are postponed. They're not declined. We're just saying, let's look at this in 30 days or 90 days. We want to see how that therapy, when the therapy is done. We want to see the reaction to this new medication. So the reality is only about 20% are actually declined. Everybody talks about how hard it is to get this. Do your field underwriting. And again, only 20% are declined. People in their 70s, we approve half of them. And we just changed how we do our medical underwriting. It's a huge benefit. We now use less medical records and we do something called med data, which is using medical coding to do the underwriting. So our underwriters can look at information from this medical coding. And now our cases are approved much more quickly. We're asking at this point for 50% less medical records. We have cases going through in 7 and 14 days, many of them. Because of it, we're waiving phone interviews on younger people. I had a 68-year-old recently that we waived the medical records on a 60-year-old, went right to right to the face-to-face within 5 days was ordered. This is a huge deal. This is going to make it a much better experience for you as an agent advisor and for your client. All right, and you'll want to sell more of this because of this. It's a huge deal. This medical data is fantastic in cutting cycle times. Now, you want to explain the plan, the different options they have. All right, you have asset base, you have life with long-term care, you have us. All right, we'll get our fair share. We all have our pros and cons. All right, so talk to them about the different options. And here's a big thing. What I was very strong on when I first got to Genworth, I did a lot of assisted sales. And what I would do is I'd go through my planning up front and laying out a plan and everything. And then I would talk to them about the product. And I went into everything the product did, besides just the monthly benefit, inflation protection, talked about potentially return of premium, bed reservation, care coordinator, all of it. I built up everything that was in this policy. And what I was trying to do is scare them on how good this coverage was and everything a policy did for them. So that when I showed them the premium, there wasn't a shock. So what I would do is I'd build this thing up and then I would ask them before I showed the premium, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what do you think this is going to cost? And they're like, oh my God, this is going to be so expensive. And they'd guess way higher than I just showed them, what I showed. All right, so do that. Lay out the benefits of this so that you show the value. I showed value. They thought this was a bargain, which it is in the big picture. All right, where do people want to get care? This stat shows 70% at home. And actually, I just looked at this, and this doesn't even add up to 100, but 18% assisted living, 10% nursing home. All right. There's another stat I had with when I was with Genworth and with One America. It was 74% home, 13% of assisted living, 13% home or nursing home. So bottom line is people want to get care at home, and the policies allow for this. If I have a policy, the chance of me going to a nursing home are a lot less, only like 10 to 13%. This keeps you out of the nursing home. And a good stat down here, every carrier uses. If I hit age 65, I have a 70% chance of needing care, getting some type of care. Now, let's say that number is wrong, and I think it's high. Cut it in half. But 30% is still significant risk, right? Now, if I take that 70% number and it's a couple I'm talking to, that extrapolates out to a 91% chance one of you is going to have an extended care event. I encourage you to write that down. Don't use stats to scare the clients, but use it to reinforce. Mr. or Mrs. Jones, a 91% chance one of you two is going to have some form of extended care event. Talk about cost of waiting. I have a design here that costs at age 55, $6,000 annual premium, all right, or $6,600. And at age 80, it's grown to almost $13,000. If you wait 5 years, that's $1,000 more a year for the rest of your life. And you lose leveraging at age 80, where the average claimant is age 80. Now you're only at 10,000. If I wait 10 years, it's almost 3,000 more. So it's a good way to talk to your clients, because a lot of times they, well, let me think about it, whatever. There's no urgency. Here's the urgency. Leveraging the transfer and the risk. I have this claim. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you want to take your qualified money out? That's going to cost, you're going to pay taxes on that. So now I got $1.40 it's costing me. Non-qualified, $1.30. If I use cash, it's dollar for dollar. If it's a $2 million claim, it's $2 million of my money. Or I could transfer the risk. And guess what? Because of the leveraging and the extra leveraging I get, it's like 40 cents on the dollar. Which would you rather have? It's a great way to position. You can just draw it on a piece of paper to your clients when you're talking to them. Here's your bucket. Here's this, here's this, here's that. All right. This one is impactful. I know that the slide itself isn't ideal, but I think this is very impactful. So I'd say I have a client with a nest egg of $750,000. And we're in a bear market last year, right? Market was down 20%. Most bear markets, it's down 30. So we're down 20% last year. And in retirement, your clients statistically are going to hit 4 bear markets. And I would tell them that. You're going to hit 4 bear markets. So here's an example. I'm in a bear market. I lost 20%. So my 750 is now 600,000. And now I'm going to layer on top of that 4 years of long-term care. So I'm going to assume down at the bottom here, home care costs almost $62,000 a year. But when I pull that money out, I got to pay taxes on it. So I have to take out $82,600. Nursing home is $113,000. That means I have to take out $151,000. So let's take a look at this. First year of home care. We're out of the bear market. I have 10% growth, but I got to take out that $82,000. I now have $517,000 left in my nest egg. Next year, I have a year of nursing home. Again, out of the bear market, I have some growth, 10% growth. I'm at $402 in my nest egg. Second year in a nursing home, third year of coverage, I'm down to $276,000. Last year of coverage, my nest egg now only has $138,000 left in it, because I've had 500 and some thousand of long-term care event. It would take me 18 years at 7% growth to get this back to the 750. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I think we should transfer the risk to protect those assets. All right, lay out a plan. This is an agent, does a great job, very in-depth, being more holistic and talking about, do you have your thorough power of attorney, advanced healthcare directives, a will, all of it, along with the long-term care plan, having that whole conversation. All right. And then it's not in here, but does a really good job of field underwriting and asks numerous questions. All right, I'm going to go through this quickly. Last thing, I'm going to give you a 3-step sales process. I'm going to give you a short version of it in the spirit of time. If you use this, though, the sale becomes self-evident. Here's your sales track. So I would start with the question I asked at the beginning, were you a caregiver, and went through that. Then I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, my most prudent clients work with me on extended care planning for 3 reasons. And please write this down. First one, people are living a longer life. Second, this is a family issue. 3, if you have an event, how are you going to pay for it? So let me talk about these quickly. First one, people are living a longer life. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, things that were fatal to our parents and grandparents are now manageable. We lived through the heart attacks. We lived through the stroke. We lived through cancer. Heck, we find cancer pre-stage 1 a lot of times now. All right. So you grow, you live to age 90, 95, and just because of aging, you need help with bathing, dressing, and stuff. What's your game plan? Well, I don't have one. Well, that's why I'm here. We need to lay out a plan. The second piece it is, this is about their family. All right, the impact to your family. This has nothing to do with, all due respect to the one who gets ill. Families are smaller nowadays, right? 2 to 3 adult children. 2 things. What if they all move out of the area? You got demographic challenges. Or let's say all 3 live here. Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Do you think all 3 of your adult children are going to raise their hand and ask help the same amount? It's not going to happen. So, and they're going to get it. They're going to go, you know what, Mary works, the daughter Mary works 80 hours a week or 70 hours a week as an attorney. She can't help. John, the middle one's a guy. He lives a little bit further away. He's not going to do anything. It's going to fall to Susie. Yeah, well, Susie's not going to be happy with John and Mary. This tears families apart, and they'll get that when you lay it out. You need to have a plan in place. Let your adult children supervise the care, not provide the care. And then if you have an event, how are you going to pay for it? We talked about self-funding. You got to let them know Medicare and Medicaid are not the panacea. All right. And don't get in depth with it unless you really know it, because things change. But Medicare, maximum 100 days, stops. Medicaid for the indigent, typically, very strongly, nursing home care, like for my mother. All right. And you have to be indigent. You have to bring your assets down in most states under $2,000. Varies by state. Third option, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, is we can transfer the risk. Now that takes you right to the illustration. If you use those 3 steps, you're going to have a 20 to 35-minute dialogue on this, and it's going to give you more ammo and more info too. So with that, I'm going to stop there, Katie, and see if there's any questions before I wrap up.
John, I don't think anything's typed in as of yet that we haven't addressed.
Okay, and typically because it's not product, there aren't a lot of questions. So let me just finish with this last thought. Think about, well, here's a couple of things. Look at your book of business, age 50 to 65. That's your sweet spot. Look for your business owners. They have tax favorability. They can write this off. All right, and Katie can help you with that. Think about single females, age 60 to 75, in their 60s and 70s. I guarantee you they're worried about this. You know, do your field underwriting, but they don't know they can buy this. All right, so, and your wealthier clients, some will summarily dismiss this, but many will buy it. I've helped somebody with $40 million net worth. I had somebody sell a $50 million net worth person a couple, 2 years ago, on and on. So here's my last thought before we jump off. Think about who you're gonna meet with over the next 2 weeks, whether it's a prospect or client. Get with Katie and the team and have them craft an illustration for you to meet their needs, and be proactive with this and bring that to your client. And with that, I'll stop and say thank you very much for your time and good luck.
John, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. And again, I can't stress enough what John said. Please give us a call here. We're happy to run you through the ideas, anything that we can do, and also provide those tax outlines for any of you that want to initiate that conversation. So with that, I appreciate your time. Thank you again, John. And everyone have a wonderful day.